This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or you can join my Patreon. Now, on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. Today's Wednesday, which means we're doing a viewer's question. So before we get into the meat of what we're going to be talking about today, I'll just mention that if you have any questions or just things that are on your mind of a guitar or music-related nature and you think I'm the chap to answer them, then get in touch. You can see the website address there at the top of the screen. Use the link in the description. Just use the email form there. Tell me what's on your mind. Or you can use my email address, jrguitartuition@gmail.com, or you can leave a comment below this or any of my other videos. One question that came in not via any of those means was on the live stream a few weeks ago, a chap called Carl, and basically his question was, if you've just got a pretty sort of plain vanilla, nothing particularly exciting, mundane chord sequence, what can you do to kind of liven it up a little bit? Well, this is the kind of thing I would do. So as you can probably tell, that was the old, kind of plain vanilla 1, 5, 6, 4 chord sequence, in this case G, D, E minor, C. But, you swap it around into other keys and you've got, Since You've Been Gone by Rainbow, everything from that to Don't Stop Believing by Journey to Let It Be. It's that axis of awesome chord sequence, isn't it? And hopefully there I succeeded in making it sound just a little bit different and a little bit not like everything else that always seems to use that chord sequence. And here is how I went about doing that.
Here is the explanation.
Okay, so the first thing I did after getting that strummy guitar part down, G, D, E minor and C, was think about the bass line I was going to put underneath it. And this is your first opportunity to get a little bit creative. You don't have to sit and kind of just thump away on roots and fifths. Let's move this microphone up a bit so you can see what I'm playing. G, D, E minor, C, like that. You don't have to do that. You can create something that's got a little bit of movement going on. There's only two things that you really need to concern yourself with here. One is that you need to be in the right key, so you're playing the right scale. We're in the key of G major here, so I was using a G major scale throughout. And the other thing is that the first beat of each bar, you need to be landing on a note that's in the chord that's happening at that particular moment. So the first bar was a bar of G, so I played G, down to an F sharp and down to an E. Then the next bar of G, that takes me on to a D note, which is a note in the G chord. Like that, so I'm going like that. There's the first beat of bar 1, it's a G note. There's the first note of bar 2, it's a D note, which is in the G chord. So then we could go to a D chord, which has an A note in it. Luckily I've got an A note next in sequence. And then walk down the scale, A, G, F sharp, which is also in the D chord. Like that, so I'm getting... So every time I'm landing on beat 1 of the bar, I'm always hitting a chord tone. Then I played for the E minor chord. I went to an E note, playing the root and third of the E minor chord. Then a little thing that bass players often do is if you're going from the 6th chord, which in this case is the E minor, down to the 4 chord, you can kind of just walk it down like that. So that's essentially what I did here. I went... Then use the D under the 2nd bar of E minor. It's not a note that's in the chord, but you can think of it as making the chord into an E minor 7, and then that takes me down to the C. And then rather than staying on the C, when I get to the end, I go back to a D again. Why? Because that changes the chord without the chord player realising that their chord has been changed. If you play a C major chord over the top of a D bass note, you actually get a D dominant 11th chord, or you can think of it as a D9 sus4, which is kind of takes us nicely back to the G chord again. That play a root note and then the major chord a tone below. You've heard that in songs as diverse as The Boys Are Back in Town, The Long and Winding Road, that old 70s hit, How Long. So it's a well trodden path. That's basically what the bass line was. It was... around it again, and as I say, it just creates a little bit more movement than thumping away on roots and fifths. So let's see what else I did on this chord sequence. Okay, the next thing I did was to add a little thing called an ostinato, which is basically just a repeating bunch of notes played over the sort of different chord changes. And one thing that by trial and error I've kind of figured out seems to always work well if you're in the key of G is to play this D sus2 shape here, but on the top 3 strings, basically just a D chord, and take that finger off. Just play that over the top of all of the different chords in the chord sequence. If you're in the key of A, just move it up. If you're in the key of C, do it up here. Oops. Like that, and so just transpose it up accordingly. And what you're doing is you're adding fourths and sixths and ninths into all of the underlying chords. In this piece here, just to kind of get it in a higher register, I just basically did it up at the 12th fret, basically an octave higher, like that. And if you were to stick a little bit of dotted eighth delay on that, for example, it would sound very reminiscent of U2 or The Edge or something like that. So that's another little trick that you can do to just liven up a chord sequence. Next thing I did was I did a little bit of chord substitution. We're in the key of G major here, so when the G chord was going on, I was playing this little B minor triad. Why? Well, because in the key of G we can turn the G into a G major 7th, and if I play a G major 7th, you can see it has that B minor triad in it. When it went to the D chord, you can think of the D as being the 5 chord. It is the 5 chord, which means it can be a dominant, which means that you can turn it into a 9th like this, the old kind of Nile Rodgers. kind of thing, like that. And, you know, you can see that's got an A minor triad in it. So, B minor for the G chord, A minor for the D chord. Then when it goes to the E minor chord, I played a G triad over the top of it like this, just again that little D shape moved up to here, because over the top of an E bass note, that gives us an E minor 7, just enriches the chord a little bit. And then when we go to the C chord and that sort of D 9 sus4 D11 kind of thing, I go back to the A minor chord. Why? Because if you take an A minor triad and play a C bass note underneath it, it gives you a C major 6th, or C6 as you probably call it. And then, as we know, over the D it creates like a D dominant 9th kind of sound, like that. And so, you know, playing like a little substitution thing with a bit of a funky slide into it. And so on, and you put that on top of what's already there, and it gives it that slightly more summery kind of, you know, kind of shimmery sort of sound. And you know, I like doing that kind of thing because it just enriches things. And then for the final part of it, I just basically dialed in a chunkier sound, and kind of doubled up on that bass part, variation here and there, but basically like this. And then like that. So again, just hitting a chord tone on beat 1 of the bar, and then just landing on a strong power chord wherever necessary on that D chord, for example. And, you know, just that, along with the combination of everything else that's there, just gives, you know, a more flavourful combination of elements, really. And you know, basically you've kind of tarted the whole thing up to sound a little bit more imaginative than possibly that original chord sequence was. So that's how it was done. Now you know what to do. Go and have some fun with it yourself. And as always, there is a full tab for what you heard in that piece of music in both Guitar Pro and PDF formats, along with a clip of me playing it. I'll put the MP3 up there as well, so you've got that as a jam track and that explanation clip there, and basically all the resources for this video. All of it's as usual up on my Patreon page. There's the address, link in the description. I think it's currently about £3 a month or $3 or whatever the equivalent is, and you get all of these additional resources that go along with these YouTube videos. And a massive thank you to everyone who supports me in that or any of the other ways, all of which are linked down below in the description. But that's pretty much it for today, folks. Hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful and informative, and hopefully maybe even a little bit entertaining. And if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so. And why not drop me a like as well while you're at it. Don't forget the live stream every Friday 5 PM UK time. You know what happens there. We have a beer and just talk about music and guitar and whatever else crops up. Basically, it's a fantastic way to kick off the weekend, and I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.